Let's get right into it and talk about confidence. And I don't mean the kind you fake, the kind you wear like a mask. I'm talking about that real, deep down, unshakable belief in yourself. We're going to deconstruct where that feeling actually comes from because let's be real, most of us have been taught the completely wrong way to get it. So let's fix that. You've probably asked yourself this 1,000 times, right? It's that question that just sits in the back of your mind. You hesitate, you get stuck in your own head, you doubt every move. You have these big goals, all this ambition, but then that little voice pops up, what if I fail? What if I'm just not good enough? And so you wait. And this is the line you tell yourself, isn't it? I'll do it when I feel ready. You're waiting for this magical moment, this surge of confidence to hit you and finally give you permission to start. But if we're being honest with ourselves, that feeling, it pretty much never shows up on its own. And this whole cycle of waiting, it only leads to one place: nowhere. And that right there, that's the core of the problem. We can call it the confidence trap. It's this vicious cycle, this fundamental misunderstanding of how our own minds work that keeps so many of us stuck, just wondering why we can't seem to get out of our own way. This idea, this is what flips the entire script. You've been told your whole life to wait until you feel confident. But the truth is, confidence has been waiting for you. It's been waiting for you to take that first step, to do the hard thing, to just act. Okay, so let's actually break down the mechanics of how this works. And just so we're clear, this isn't about hype or positive thinking. This is a psychological process. It's like an equation for building real, genuine self-belief. See, here's the trap that we all fall into. We think the formula is confidence comes first and then you take action. But the truth is the complete opposite. Action creates evidence, and that evidence is what builds your confidence. Confidence isn't something you're given. It's a result. It is earned by doing, not by waiting around and thinking about it. Now, this whole process directly rewrites what psychologists call your self-concept. That's basically the story you tell yourself about who you are. Maybe right now, part of your story is, I'm the person who hesitates, or I'm not disciplined. Well, taking disciplined action is the pen you use to edit that story to write a new one based on cold, hard proof. So let's be super clear about this. You don't have a confidence deficiency. You have an evidence deficiency. You lack proof because you haven't put in the reps. You lack experience because you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting to feel ready instead of just getting in the game. Your brain doesn't believe in you because you haven't given it any reason to. You haven't shown it what you can do. When you get this, a whole new path opens up, and it's a clear, actionable process. First, and this is non-negotiable, comes disciplined action, no matter how small. That action starts to gather evidence. That evidence, piece by piece, builds self-trust. And only then, at the very end of that chain, do you earn real, lasting confidence. All right, to make this a little less abstract, let's look at a real-world story of how this actually plays out. This is about seeing how the theory becomes real. So picture a young girl. She's shy, she's clumsy, and her parents sign her up for ballet. And she is terrible at it. It doesn't feel natural at all. In fact, she hates it. She cries after class. Her self-concept, that story in her head, is screaming, I'm not a dancer. I can't do this. And every mistake just reinforces that belief. But here's the crucial part of the story. Her feelings didn't matter. Her motivation was zero. But she was signed up. She had no choice. She had to go. The decision to quit was taken off the table. So all that was left was the simple, disciplined action of just showing up to class, day after day after day. And just through that pure, brute force repetition, something started to change. Slowly. The steps that seemed impossible, they became manageable. Then they became easy. She started getting a little praise, and every single small win was like a new piece of evidence, a deposit into her confidence account. And this proof, it wasn't just about ballet anymore. It started to bleed into every other area of her life, changing the very story of who she thought she was. And her own realization really says it all. I became confident because I kept showing up. See? Confidence wasn't the starting line for her. It was the trophy she got at the finish line. It was the reward she earned through action, especially on the days she wanted to do it least. So the big question is, how do you do this for yourself? Right? How do you create that kind of forced consistency when there's no one signing you up for the class? Well, you do it by building a system. You have to get this next idea. It's a total reframe. You are not an undisciplined person. You just don't have a good system in place. Discipline is not some personality trait you're born with. It's about intentionally designing a routine and an environment that makes doing the right thing easier than doing the wrong thing. So, what does this system actually look like? Well, first, you start with ridiculously small commitments, so small you can't say no. Second, you focus only on consistency, not perfection. The goal is just to show up. Third, instead of trying to just stop bad habits, you deliberately replace them with better ones. Fourth, you start to see discomfort not as a warning sign, but as a signal that you're actually growing. And finally, you engineer your environment to make discipline the path of least resistance. Look, willpower is like a phone battery. It runs out. A system is the charger that's always plugged in. If you're just waiting to feel motivated to do something, you have already lost the battle. A good structure, a good system, it automates your progress. It carries you forward, even on the days you feel like you can't take another step. Okay, let's bring this all home. Let's make this incredibly personal, because this is where we have to move from just understanding the idea to actually doing something about it. Let's just say it one more time, as plainly as possible. Your problem is not a character flaw, it's a data problem. You simply have not collected enough evidence to present a convincing case to yourself. That's it. And here it is. This is the uncomfortable truth. The reason you lack that proof is because you have a history of breaking promises to yourself. You say you'll get up early, you hit snooze. You say you'll work out, you find an excuse. You say you'll finish that thing, and you procrastinate. And then you have the nerve to wonder why you don't trust yourself? Think of your self-trust like a bank account. Every single time you keep a promise to yourself, I don't care how small it is, you make a deposit. And every time you break one, you make a withdrawal. Real, authentic confidence, it's just the feeling of having a high balance in that account, built one small kept promise at a time. So we're going to end with this question, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Not tomorrow, not next week, today, right now. What is one tiny, manageable, almost laughably small promise you can make, and more importantly, keep for yourself today? Make your bed, drink one glass of water, go for a 5-minute walk. That's it. That's where this whole thing starts. That is your first piece of evidence. Now go get it.